Good morning. Today is March 28th, 2024, and today is day 78 of 100 days, 100 ways, trails taken. Getting on. Okay, our question today, still under consumption, the disclosure, is plant medicine. Plant medicine. So do you use plant medicine? None? Do you use tobacco? Do you use cannabis? Do you use ayahuasca? Do you use psilocybin or other? Okay, so have you or do you use plant medicine? Myself, I used to use tobacco. I smoked. I think when I was 13, and when I was 26, I decided I'd smoked for half of my life. And of course got progressively more as I got older, and I decided that was enough. I didn't want to smoke anymore, so I stopped that. I did have a puff of a cigarette not too long ago, and it was so disgusting. It was so horrible. But at the same time, I know when I used to unwrap the packages of cigarettes, now this is where it becomes not plant medicine, because it's not natural tobacco anymore. It's got additives and things put into it. When I used to unwrap the carton when I worked at the grocery store, I would have to sell them to people and, keep the counter stocked. And every time I opened it, it would make my teeth hurt. Like this, like wanting it. Like my teeth would ache, but in a way that, it wanted whatever chemistry was coming out of that package. And that kind of freaked me out, actually. So yeah, I definitely prefer to stay away from that. And as we know, it's better for our bodies to not have tobacco, but in its natural state, I'm sure it is a lot more beneficial. A lot of ancient traditions use tobacco in some way. Oh, I think I have a rainbow on my face. It's very bright. But they use it in traditional ways, peace pipes, and different cultures have different ways of using their tobacco. And I think it's natural tobacco. It's not full of, these chemistries from these companies that are mass producing and mass selling. But it's good to see in the world that maybe that's letting up a little bit too. And if we could use tobacco in the ways of, old traditions, then, it perhaps has even spiritual benefits, not just, a feeling that we get in our body, but a spiritual purpose and connection. Cannabis. Yes, I do use cannabis. I've found it extremely beneficial in many ways. There's lots of different kinds. I took a cannabis fundamentals course, so I'm sort of certified in cannabis fundamentals, which was really interesting because I found a lot of information that I took forward when I had the rupture, and some of it helped me with the lymphedema. It helped stimulate my appetite. It helped me relax. It helped me sleep. What else? When I had COVID, I actually used a certain strain of cannabis, and the terpenes in it and cannabinoids provide certain benefits. And it was very beneficial. I actually was able to breathe and stop coughing. So you would think something that and I was smoking it. I wasn't ingesting it, because that's another way, right? And then of course, CBD oils, and those have like super properties that are amazing for different conditions. So I highly recommend cannabis. It's not just a recreational drug. It's not just for fun. It's not just for shits and giggles, as we say. There's actual benefits to utilizing it if you pay attention. Ayahuasca, super popular right now. There's a lot of ayahuasca retreats, especially in Central and South America. I would like to attend one. I've not done that yet. I've followed a retreat center. It's called Rhythmia, and they have, you know, in-house shamans, and yeah, they provide that service there in safety and comfort. So that's where I would go, I think. I know a lot of people have gone out into the wilds, I guess you would say, and worked with actual shamans in the bush, and had amazing experiences. Definitely not for the faint of heart. You got to be prepared, you got to be willing, and you got to be ready for what will come. And yeah, I've heard some amazing stories, and it really seems to open that veil, open that door to somewhere else that our human experience, our human brain, doesn't necessarily know how to get to without that plant medicine. And our brains do have receptors for plants, for the compounds that are in the plants. You know, THC we have, which is in cannabis, we have receptors in our brain for THC. So that tells you something. We are already wired to use these plants, and you know that those traditions and those ways have been replaced by the pharmaceuticals, the companies. You know, they go in. The shaman that I worked with, Dr. Alberto Villoldo, I think I got it right for the first time ever. He worked with the shamans for 25 years, and he initially went into the bush to work for or along with, doing research for a pharmaceutical company. They wanted to know what those people in the Amazon forests were using. What were the recipes? They wanted to know the recipes so that they could implement them in, our first world to help alleviate disease and illness, putting the Band-Aid on top of it. I think a part of it is also working with the shaman, because they have traditions and knowledge that have been passed down from their elders for, centuries and millennia, like thousands of years. And he came back to them and said, they don't have these diseases there, so I can't help you. There's nothing to give you for a recipe because they're not treating those things. Which is interesting, right? Like our first world countries and our food that we eat and our things that we consume and the air we breathe and our water and all the things are a little bit off. They're a little left of nature. You know what I mean? They're like not quite right. And what else do we have? Psilocybin. So that's generally found in mushrooms. Of course, you've got to know which mushrooms you're using, and of course those things have also been bastardized, I guess we'll call it, into other kinds of pharmaceuticals where, some of the properties give you effects, but maybe not all the effects that are necessary or needed or inherent to the plant itself. And of course, being under the care of somebody that, is not a first world doctor, somebody who's, trained with people who have used these things for forever. Let's just call it that. Being under their wing, under their care, under their tutelage, just kind of helps direct the path, I suppose. And there are lots of others, of course, like the poppies, right? Opium. We still have these receptors in our brains for these things. So, there's some of them are highly addictive. Again, needing to be working with somebody who's appropriate, somebody who's helping you with an issue or a situation, not just for fun, if you want to say, because eventually it ends up not being fun. You get addicted, and like I said before, it's really hard to come off addiction. And sometimes addictions can be battled with natural remedies with plant medicines. So that's really, I think, something that's coming to light a lot more in the world. You know, of course, it's always been known, but for it to be mainstream and accepted is, yeah, it's different, right? And we should be allowed to have the knowledge. And as I said before, we are nature. So nature is there to support us. And yeah, we just need to have somebody guide us and direct the way that we should utilize them. So until next time, I guess that's all we got for today. So kind of interesting, right? Anyways, until tomorrow, be well.